Back in our normal position, it's time for another Q&A question and answer video with us, the British Fist. Mr. Parkin here, NJ here, the real anchor of this team who does the Raw reviews and everything else other than NXT. Oh, what's the matter, NJ? What's up?
I couldn't even do that properly. The phenomenal, the great, the awesome program that got me into this worldwide wrestling has been terrible recently.
I get where you're coming from, buddy. Calm down. NJ, calm down. I know exactly what can make this better. A Dairy Milk Giant Butter.
Sure.
Can have one if you want, mate. My dad's already had them. Yeah. No, just one.
One each.
No, I'm not having one during the video because I'm looking at my calorie intake. But anyway, it's time for Q&A 175. If you want to ask us questions, don't put them on our Facebook or Twitter or anything like that. Put them in the comment section below, as that is the best way to get your question across to us.
And to kick this off properly, from Mr. Parkin and me, NJ, let's go.
UH Type 1 with a couple of questions here. What are your thoughts on The Undertaker winning the Rumble to take on Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship in a redemption storyline, 22-1 or 21-2, then retire? What the fuck were you doing there, NJ?
Trying to put it in my head, because the thing is, when I hear The Undertaker, it almost makes me do that great acting that I just did a few moments ago, because The Undertaker, just like CM Punk, has decided it's over.
So what's the point in really having another match with Undertaker at the WrestleMania? I mean, the streak was the general draw. I imagine Undertaker will be a draw at WrestleMania, but do I want to see two part-timers going after the belt? I don't really like the idea. I just think now the streak's over. I just think The Undertaker should just be done at WrestleMania, unless it's some kind of real special attraction match.
That's what I was going to say. I'm not sure it's going to be a match, but I'm sure we're going to get one more Taker moment before the Hall of Fame.
Probably. I'd imagine they'll probably combine the two, Hall of Fame and one last match. Who really knows? Do you think The Undertaker can still give us enjoyable in-ring matches? Depends who he's working with. If he's working with someone like Brock Lesnar, then no. But if he's working with someone like a CM Punk or a Daniel Bryan, then potentially, because essentially those guys are smaller and they can do all the bumps for him.
I'm sorry, Taker fans, but I feel the proper Undertaker, the Undertaker that gave us the great matches, I started to go after the Shawn Michaels or Triple H match. Since then, you could say the one with CM Punk was good, but I don't feel that was the Undertaker from the years before.
I mean, if you had a match with Punk 5 years ago, it would have been a lot better. But it was still a pretty good match considering the circumstances at the time. This brings us on to the next question. Seeing that Undertaker's biggest WrestleMania draw has come to an end with it in the streak, who do you think he should face at next WrestleMania? I just don't think he should be at WrestleMania unless he's going to put some sort of young talent over, which at this point, I mean, they would gain from feuding with The Undertaker, but really how much now the streak has done, it's just kind of pointless now.
The only WrestleMania moment I'd have, even though it would probably have to be the finish of WrestleMania, is a tombstone to Paul Heyman. That's all I'll do.
Which version of Sting would you prefer to see feud with The Undertaker? Old school Sting, Dark Sting, or TNA Psycho Sting?
I can see the two questions overlapping because you've got The Undertaker and Sting. I could see who...
You thought we were going to say Sting, didn't you? Yeah, he blatantly thought we were going to say Sting.
That's the idea.
Yeah, but we didn't.
But if any, I'd say old school kind of match, I'd go with probably maybe Dark versus Dark Undertaker. Yeah,
I think Dark Sting versus Undertaker would work a lot better. I think if you go with old school Sting, it doesn't really work because he had bright face paint. TNA Psycho Sting even. I keep saying Sing for some reason. Keep missing out that T. And do WWE really want to acknowledge his TNA run? So I don't really see the point in that. Abdullah Shakar. Who do you think Brock Lesnar will lose the title from? Or two, I can imagine this time.
Yes.
Yeah, well, he won it from John Cena. He'll probably lose it at WrestleMania, probably to probably Roman Reigns at this point, but who really knows?
There's so many different stories going into Mania, especially for Brock Lesnar. I think it's going to be Roman Reigns, even though I wouldn't be surprised if WWE give it to fucking John Cena.
Or The Rock or something like that. I mean, you have the feeling that Vince McMahon wants Brock Lesnar and The Rock, or Brock Lesnar versus Batista as the big main event, even though he won't really be putting over any of the current roster.
Reigns for now.
Reigns for now, indeed. I like that idea. Will John Cena one day be a Paul Heyman guy? No. Imagine how much heel heat Paul Heyman would get if John Cena was a Paul Heyman guy.
The WWE was
Sing.
putting so much into trying to show that John Cena could swerve and become a heel, but no matter what, he's been through things that would turn any person heel, and it didn't work. So I don't think Paul Heyman is going to do it.
Yeah, we've just had food, so that explains why we're maybe belching a little bit. And what would your thoughts be if he did one day become a Paul Heyman guy? I think it'd be stupid because they really would have no one to take over the John Cena reigns. So apart from Roman Reigns possibly, but I just think it'd be a bit idiotic at this point. What's the point?
My upside to this is if Lesnar's not going to sign another year, I would love the WWE to find a way to keep Paul Heyman. So if we keep Paul Heyman and get a John Cena heel turn, bonus, but it's not going to happen.
No. Which one did you prefer and like more? WWF Attitude Era or WCW? No, I was never really around at the time when WWF and WCW were feuding, so to speak, in the Monday Night Wars, but I've watched a little bit of WCW, but I remember always watching WWF a little bit more because it was the more well-known brand at the time.
I hear many compliments going to the style of what WCW offered, but to be honest, maybe because my heart was too strong in the WWF, I appreciate that more. But my answer is going to be with the WWF.
Hey, you supported the right company. I mean, imagine if you were a WCW fan and your company wasn't around now and you had to sort of invest yourself in TNA and ROH, companies which are going down the shitter. Yeah, I've actually got 2 WCW videos, VHSs, believe it or not. Uncensored and Spring Stampede 1999. I liked both those shows from a fan standpoint. The Neon Brick. What do you think of the new WWE logo? It's just a WW, really, isn't it? I mean, there's not too much. It's not really that much different. It's just it's a bit more sleek and it's got more of a TV look about it, really.
To be honest, I think that they've gone as far as they can with the WWE logo. So nothing's going to beat the WWF. That logo fit perfectly for what it provided us. The WW, that's almost an E as well.
Get the F out.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed, get the F out. And as Schleg Daddy said, with that came the fun out. But there we go. Jack Daly. Why is it that even though people have hated Cena since 2005, he was still getting babyface reactions, crowd reactions, until around 2011 when he started to get mixed reactions? Well, I mean, it started off a little bit and then grew a little bit more. And then I think around about 2010 time, which is when we first sort of started watching it together, we all realised that it was about John Cena and no one else. And so I think that's when people really, really started to hate him. But even back in 2006 when he was facing, I think it was 2006, when he was facing Triple H for the WWE Championship in the main event of WrestleMania, he was getting booed. But it's just over time, people have realised that now it's all about Cena, especially in the latter years, and that's why he started to get such mixed reactions. I mean, even in the early years, he was still getting mixed reactions.
I think when the WWE caught on quite quickly that a big guy like John Cena was getting a good reaction from the WWF, WWE crowd, they were going to push him in the most positive way. But I feel the WWE, especially with him going forward, overdid it, and then the hate became in because, like Mr. Parkin said, the company came up too much about him. Yeah,
I mean, it's lose-lose, really. I mean, you've got John Cena, who's your obvious top money draw. They get the most money off him, but you can't really turn him heel because you've got no one to really replace his spot in that top babyface role. Not Randy Orton, no way. So it's a lose-lose situation, and it's a hole that WWE have dug for themselves, and they're going to have to try and dig themselves out of it. Tim Crace, do you think that WWE should sign Brooke Hogan? Moving on. What about Usos versus Goldust and Stardust versus Ryback and Curtis Axel at Night of Champions in a tables, ladders, and chairs match? I'd save that for TLC, personally.
So I was thinking of Brooke when they advanced her to become heel. I like that. But Usos versus Goldust and Stardust. And, okay, my point this is the Usos were the champions I wanted to see. Their reign's boring, in my opinion. So I think now they've given over to Goldust and Stardust. I really feel that they should be the concentration to offer us entertainment, and who comes next? None of those two others.
But again, if you have a match like that, save it for TLC, and they won't do it anyway. So, would you like to see WWE bring back Mickie James? I mean, yes, in a way, but I think WWE right now are about breeding their own talent. I mean, they've got Paige up in the ranks now. They did bring Emma up for a little bit. They're going to probably bring up Charlotte, and they've got a lot of divas in the divas division down in NXT. So I don't really see the point in bringing back talents unless it's for a bit of a part-time thing.
Straight away, my answer to this is yes. I'll tell you for why. With the talents like Mickie James, Lita, Trish, Victoria, I think they're names who you know can wrestle and they're top of their game in a way. So I feel they came in and faced the talents that Mr. Parker just mentioned. They're not always expecting going to win. You could have Mickie James beat a newer talent coming in, then to build up a feud from there. So I'd say yes to Mickie James.
Cricket Sam 64. Do you think with all the pay-per-views being on the network, it will discourage casual and new fans from watching pay-per-views, and this structure will only maintain current fans and diehards? This is an interesting question, actually. I don't think it will discourage casual and new fans because they know now the pricing is probably going to be a lot better. With it's $9.99 a month now, as opposed to $50 a month or $60 a month if that's what they paid for before. So I don't think it will discourage casual and new fans from buying the WWE Network to a degree. But I think the structure is put in place so that diehard fans will mostly be. I mean, why would a casual fan want to get the WWE Network to see past stuff when they're a casual fan and they don't really give a crap about that kind of stuff?
Everything to do with the network, I don't feel is going in the direction the WWE wanted. Maybe it did by a percentage, but in a whole, I think, yes, the diehard fans can watch the stuff that they grew up with and loved, but at the same time, the WWE are always going to be pushing what they're offering now, which is what the casual fans are going to be tuning into.
I mean, I'm guessing that's why they tried putting stuff like Legends House on there and things like that they thought may attract casual viewers, but how much of their original content is really going to be there to attract casual viewers? I don't think that much. I mean, a lot of people that have bought the WWE Network are casual fans, are diehard fans or internet fans, really, aren't they? Let's face it. JP Payne. How does the current top stars compare to the top stars 10 years ago in 2004? Oh, there's a massive difference. I mean, okay, you go on this. You look at top guy John Cena. In 2004, the top guy would have been Brock Lesnar. Would have been. Or, no, I think Edge was the top guy, but I'm talking like top guy. Brock Lesnar would have been the man back then, even though he was just leaving. But you compare Brock Lesnar and Cena, and there's a massive difference, really, there. And even if you look at guys like Randy Orton, back in 2004, you'd have had Triple H. You'd still have had, people like The Undertaker in a big spot, Big Show in a big spot. You'd have had all these players in a big spot. And if you look at them now, they've all gone down a level. And the new talents really haven't been able to step up to that level to replace them, really, in my opinion. So it's a real downfall to see the current stars and comparing them from the stars we got in 2004. If you watch an edition of Raw in 2004, just look how much star power there is compared to how much you have in the WWE now. And whose fault is that? Really?
John Cena.
Oh, it's WWE's fault.
I'm saying new stars. The thing is, the WWE have top stars. There's no denying it. They had the guys like Drew McIntyre who could have got the push. They had Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow who could have been up there. Dolph Ziggler, who weren't really his fault.
Damien Miz now.
And then you had the likes of Bray Wyatt now. You got so there are names. It's just the WWE haven't created them to be top stars because of things that have gone against them.
Yeah, and also in 2004, not to mention you had WCW and ECW folding, so you had all the talent you could pluck from there, and you had other things like factors to go into account. And now a lot of people have retired, and the golden era of wrestling is essentially gone. So pushing these new guys is just not going to be anywhere near. You're never going to get another Undertaker. You're never going to get another Rock. You're never going to get another Austin. It's just different time, different place. Howard Starr. This is a good question. Why do fans pop for such crazy characters such as Lunatic Fringe, Dean Ambrose, Loose Cannon, Brian Pillman, and Psycho Sid? Because they're fucking entertaining. Because they do stuff that larger-than-life characters would do. I mean, you wouldn't just go mental in real life, would you? This is exactly why I think fans pop for it.
Well, I want to concentrate on Dean Ambrose quite strongly because with him, like we said in the past Q&A, we can compare him to other wrestlers because of what he brought to the table, not just in the ring, but his promo work, his attitude against other wrestlers, the way the WWE have concentrated on him to talk against the other big names. Wrestlers now don't have the unique or outspoken kind of characters that quickly grab people's attention.
Yeah, I agree with that, NJ. Renegade Man 83. Do you agree or disagree that Dixie Carson needs to step down and have someone take over TNA? I mean, I can't fault her enthusiasm. I can't fault her dedication. I can't fault her as a person. But, yeah, is she really the kind of person you want running a wrestling company? I mean, just look where it's gone lately. That's really all you need to know.
Her stepping down, I think they should do almost a WWE-like thing. Maybe Dixie should still be there because of the good things she has offered us in the past, and just have someone maybe more acknowledgeable for the wrestling itself, and to be 50% owner or somewhere in the writing side.
What do you think of Bull Dempsey, and do you feel that fans and management have lost interest with Mojo Rawley? I never really liked Bull Dempsey when he came in. I mean, there was nothing really about him that really attracted me to the character. He was just an old school character, and I just didn't really care. And Mojo Rawley started off really hot. It looked like management, and it looked like people they were going to book him quite well. And then he's just kind of like lost the hilt a little bit. So it looks like management has lost interest in him. And because he's getting squashed every week now, the fans are losing interest in him as well. It's a great example of how WWE or NXT in particular can take a character and make it so that the people don't really give a shit. It's unfortunate, really, because I thought that Mojo Rawley was the kind of guy who looked like a main eventer, or, you know, out of NXT, where there are very little people that actually look like main event guys. This is a good question, though. I think this may be the title of this Q&A. Who is more sensitive? WWE fans, TNA fans, or indie fans?
I've got an answer straight away. TNA fans.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. And that is mostly due to our part in a website called TNA Asylum. Really, isn't it? Yeah.
The reason I'm playing TNA, just to explain, is they know they're going to get a lot of from us fans thinking like, oh, your company's rubbish. They can't do this. They can't do that. It's been bad for this long. And yes, the WWE has started to go down that path. But you're very sensitive when we're criticising majority of what's going on instead of defending it like you guys, like the fans are.
The thing is, with WWE fans, I think a lot of them, it's got to the point now where if a TNA or indie fan makes fun of them, it's like, well, I don't really give a shit. Why should I give a shit about you guys? You know, so I think WWE fans can be sensitive, but they are a lot more defensive. But TNA fans, the problem I've always had with TNA fans, and I did it a little bit myself, so I'm not going to, you know, tell people off for doing it. But it's like, if you have an argument with a TNA fan, they can never tell you how good TNA is. All they can tell you is how bad WWE is. How stupid is that? How stupid is that? It's like you say, oh, TNA, but what's so great about TNA? Well, it's not kid-friendly like WWE. We have better wrestling than WWE. It's never we have good wrestling or we're more adult-orientated. It's always centered around fucking WWE.
The WWE had its flaws. Obviously, WWE fans admit that. We're not saying we're the best company in the world. Even real strong WWE fans are going to say, yeah, we're going down a rocky hill. TNA fans, I don't think they'd really strongly admit that because they're more defending it because that's what brought them into wrestling, what's given them the enjoyment each and every week.
TNA Asylum, just saying. Indie fans can get quite sensitive, but I think they have their own little bubble, so I don't really think indie fans matter too much.
To be honest, I have no gripe with indie fans. Yes, the non-selling and stuff might annoy us fans, but at the same time, it's them who are growing in a way, and some of those indie fans become what they are in the WWE, TNA.
Oh, indie fans, they annoyed me a little bit with their overrating of the matches. Oh, every show is a 9 out of 10, but any show WWE or TNA does is automatically a 5 or a fucking 6. But I'd still say TNA fanboys, I call them fanboys, are the most sensitive and and girls, and are some of the worst fucking fans. I mean, if you disagree, let us know, please. And the final question of this Q&A, What are your thoughts on Scott Hall's son, Cody Hall, and have you seen his matches on YouTube? Haven't seen anything from Cody Hall, so I cannot comment. I'm pretty sure you're the same.
As much as I love Scott Hall, I'm going to say this now. I've not seen much from, or anything from Cody Hall, and hopefully, with the legacy he's had of his father sort of thing, maybe we'll hear more of him.
Possibly, but I wouldn't advise him to get into the wrestling business. It is fucking cutthroat from what I've seen on shoot interviews, etc. Anyway, that's another Q&A with us, the British Fist.
Gotcha.
Thank you very much for watching this. And before we end this Q&A, we're gonna have a giant button because apparently this is big. Thank you very much for watching, people, and goodbye.